I don't think we want to say too much about the speech, and it's been an excellent speech. We all learn a lot, and I think we don't get these things in the internet. And internet, you read, as you said, New York Times. I will go and have a look at it now, but I don't think you can get this information. So we have in fact, we should make use of this opportunity and to really ask any questions. And of course, you'll be asking mainly questions from Jonathan, but you can ask questions from Dr. Kate and as well as Professor Tuano and as well, and I'm happy to answer. But I think as the chairperson for the day, I could probably ask the first question. Again, Jonathan, I think the problem is that just after the Grenfell Tower fire, we had I don't think there are any politicians, so I can say this, but a lot of people came and said Australian buildings are safe. We had the La Crosse fire, we had all that, so we are okay. We had the NCC, but we know that there are only very few things were done, as you mentioned today. There are lots of still problems. Also, basically there were 99% of the buildings or more than that are just old buildings, not even really they are not satisfying those requirements. We saw in the US Parliament, sorry, not UK Parliament in England, they were talking about so many buildings are non-compliant and also problems. So what do you think of even Melbourne? There are so many, I'm sure, so many buildings with these facades, and not only we are just concentrated on the ACP now, but there could be other unsafe facades, as you mentioned. So, any comment on that?
So I think we have a lot of issues that we need to look at. The facades are one. We have a problem with essential safety measures maintenance. For example, we assume in your apartment that the door to your apartment is safe. Sometimes we put smoke seals around those doors to keep smoke from an apartment fire from getting into the rest of the building. Those smoke seals need to be checked. Who checks them? Normal maintenance companies, they don't check them. They don't knock on your door saying, please open your door. No one is checking some of the significant safety features. Only recently we started to put together proper lists of penetrations and penetration seals that need to be looked at. I think we've got problems with maintenance. I think we have problems with facades and the like. But we've got one lucky thing. Fires are a rare event. We don't have a lot of fire losses in Australia. We have sprinklers, and sprinklers work very, very well. Since 1850, we've never had multiple life loss other than those involved with ignition with a properly designed and installed and maintained sprinkler system anywhere in the world. It's an amazing statistic. We get very lucky if the building is sprinklered. But we have lots of unsprinklered buildings. We have lots of non-compliant facades. And, if we were talking in the UK 2 months ago, and I was telling them about La Crosse, they would have said, we don't have that problem here. We've never had a major facade fire. We've had a couple of small ones. We've had a few people killed here and there, but it hasn't been serious. They wouldn't say that now. And I would suggest that we shouldn't say that now about Australia. Right? I think we need to be careful. Is the government doing something? Well, in Victoria, we now have a high-level panel that's doing something, I hope. The rest of Australia, I will tell you that the building commission from WA was on the phone with me today. There's a Senate inquiry looking at materials. There's things happening. New South Wales and Queensland, they're busy trying to chase this. As fire engineers, I know we're going crazy with questions about facades. I'm sure Arabs is going crazy too, all right? So people are finally paying attention. Let's just hope that it's not too little too late.
Very good question. So I should give the opportunity to others as well. And also, Dr. Kate and Professor Tuan, why don't you come to the front as well? They make some questions. But I'll get you to answer them. But anyone, yes, please identify yourself first and then.
Hello, my name is Ali. I'm also from the ARC Center. My question, thank you very much for your presentation. My question is about the Windy condition that you said, and because the fire spread up because of the windy condition is very important. My question is that this windy condition is being considered in any of the standards for testing the fire?
So I think it's a really good question, and I think that, you know, the conservative approach is you say it won't be combustible, then I don't care what the wind is, right? The tests that we're doing are pretty severe tests, assuming that we have flashover, worst case fires. So again, we're ignoring the wind, but we're making the fire much worse, or as a pretty severe fire. Are we compensating for the two? It's a judgment call, right? As fire engineers, when we model buildings, do we include wind effects? Yeah, if they're significant. But usually we don't, because usually it's not an important factor.
Just to follow up on that, can you just comment a bit about how wind would affect a fire on a building?
Well, the question is, how does wind affect a fire in a building? Well, the pressure from a wind can overcome the pressures from mechanical systems that are meant to control where smoke is and do smoke evacuation or smoke control systems. Pressure from or the wind itself provides oxygen into the fire, all right? It bends the plume over, you get more entrainment, it changes fire characteristics. So winds can be important, but again, it depends on the building and the configuration and the arrangement, all right? Fire engineers, most of the time, will do a qualitative assessment of wind, but when we think it's significant, we have the tools to model it.
We'll go to Jojo first, because we had to give an architect a chance as well.
Pick on him earlier, so he does.
As an architect, I will ask you a question about detailing, right? So, going back to the example of the lacrosse building, one of the comments in the report was about the way the panels were fixed. Let me say that I think it's important to stress that we understood the polyethylene burns, so we're taking a big risk when this is embedded in the design in any way, I would say. However, in your opinion, fixing the panels perhaps in the more traditional way of using AC, you know, a composite aluminum panel, which is to return in the edges, score in the back, making sure there is a mechanical fixing all around. So in effect, the polyethylene is not exposed. So my question is, in your opinion, is that enough for you to say that a facade will be in line with the code? Because by doing that, the facade is not combustible anymore.
Okay. So I'm not aware of any NFPA 285 tests, that's the American tests, on aluminum composite panels, where the test has been passed with a tape-fixed approach. So they all require mechanical fixing, to the best of my knowledge. Okay. Does that mean you couldn't use an adhesive